Today I'm going to walk you through how to make a Morgan dollar coin ring. First things first, I need to punch a hole in this coin. I'm using a 5/8 inch punch and I am putting blue shop towels on either side to protect the coin. I am using my hydraulic press to do the punching. You can use a brass hammer or whatever suits you. Here I am using my 1-ton arbor press to retrieve the punch from the punch body. The next but very important step is to deburr the punch edges. I'm using a 3/4 inch countersink. Then to make sure I get a really clean edge, I am using a sheet metal deburring tool. I'm going to mark this coin with black Sharpie so that I don't over or under anneal it. As I'm annealing, I'm keeping a close eye on the Sharpie marks. As soon as they start to disappear, I'm going to quench it in water. Now I'm taking a 1.6 inch Jason's Works reduction die and universal folding cone, making sure that the coin is level in the die, and I'm going to dome it using a 1-ton arbor press. After the coin is domed, I'm going to sand the edge. I'm using a 220 grit, and then I'm going to take a 400 grit sanding stick and just really make sure that that edge is clean, and continually do this throughout the process. Side note, always wear an N95 mask when you are sanding. Re-annealing is another step you will see repeated multiple times. Now I'm using the 1.5 inch side of this reduction die, and I'm also going to wrap my folding cone with some blue Monster PTFE tape. This just protects the details on the inside of the coin. Time to re-anneal. Continuing through the process, I'm going to use the 1.4 inch reduction die. Same thing, I'm going to wrap the cone with some PTFE tape and dome it further. I was not joking about annealing, this is done in between every step. Next, it's time to wrap the coin. I am wrapping this coin 10 to 15 times with the same blue PTFE tape. This is a 1.4 inch Swedish wrap die, also from Jason's Works, and I am just giving it a good coat of coconut oil on the inside. Here I'm using a Delrin puck from Unminted to press the coin into the die, and then I'm using these Delrin push rods, these are from Legacy, to push the coin through the die. Surprise, surprise, it's time to anneal. While I'm at it, I'm going to sand the edge. The coin has been rewrapped, and I'm going to continue to push it through the same 1.4 inch die until we hit the bottom. Once I got the coin pushed to where it previously was in the die, I switched over to my 10-ton. It's just a little easier to use and a lot more precise. Then the coin was re-annealed, somehow missed filming that. Anyways, now the coin walls are touching the inside of the die, so I'm going to wrap this about 20 times. With all of that tape, it needs to be pressed down into the 1.4 inch die again before switching to the next smallest die, which is a 1.1 inch. So I'm going to coat the inside of the die with coconut oil and press it down in the arbor press just to get it flat before I take it over to the 10-ton. And what I'm doing here is pressing it until the Delrin rod bottoms out and then going to the next size down. The goal is to get your ring 2 sizes larger than your target size. My target size is a size 10, and I accidentally made this a little too small, so I had to anneal the coin, and I'm just going to take it over to my ring stretcher and stretch it up to a size 12. Now that I've reached my target size, I am realizing that there are some inconsistencies and waviness along the edge, so I'm going to correct that by filing the opposite side to match. I'm just using a standard half-round medium cut file to file these edges, and then I'm going to clean it up with a needle file just to make sure my transitions are super smooth. It's quite the process, but it really corrects the edge, and once the ring is made, you won't see any waviness. All of that filing leaves little burrs on the inside, so I'm just cleaning that up, and then I'm going to clean the outside up with a sanding stick. Next, it's time to size. I'm using a 1.2 inch 17 degree die, and I'm going to wrap my coin about 10 times. This is where I really like using the hydraulic press because it's really precise. I'm a little smaller than a 10, which is totally fine because I need to deburr the inner rim of this coin ring. To hold the ring, I'm using a coin ring deburring tool. This one is from Moneymaker Coincraft. It's important to take down that entire rim, otherwise you will be left with a sharp edge. Next, I need to size the other side. It's important not to push too far, you just want to match the gap that you had on the other side, and the goal is to get straight walls. And it's finally time for finish work. I'm starting with 220 grit. Since I did all that filing, I have to clean that up first before finishing with 600 grit. I'm going to deburr that other edge just to clean it up a bit. Here I'm using a Dremel grinding bit, and I'm just cleaning up the spots that I've deburred. Now I'm moving on to a rubber bit just to smooth that out even more. While I'm at it, I'm just going to clean up that other side. Moving on to the outside, I am sanding these by hand with my 400 grit sanding stick. I do a final cleanup on this edge with an 800 grit, then I'm going to flip it over and hit the other side with that 400, again ending with the 800. Next, I'm going to clean up the entire ring with a fine buffing block. A nice 5 to 10 minute soak in the pickle will remove any discoloration caused from annealing. Then I neutralize it in baking soda and water and rinse it. It's very important that I wear gloves for this next step. I don't want any oils from my hands to get on the ring. I'm going to clean it very thoroughly with a toothbrush and Dawn dish soap. Afterwards, I'm going to rinse really well and make sure that there is no soap remaining. Then I'm going to switch to hot water to fill up my container, just enough to cover the ring. I often see people work with liver of sulfur without a respirator. However, you're not supposed to inhale the fumes from this chemical. Anyways, this is liver of sulfur gel, and I'm just mixing it with the hot water, and then I'm going to put my ring in, and I leave mine in for about half an hour. Here I'm using a 4-sided buffing block to clean up the inside of the ring, and next I'm going to use a fine buffing block to clean up the outside of the ring. I pay special attention to both the cut side and the outer rim. Now I'm going to put a coat of Renaissance wax on the ring. I'm just using a microfiber to apply it. Then I'm going to carefully remove a little bit more of the finish to my liking. I also want to clean up the patina off of that inner rim just for a cleaner look. I'm using a silicone polishing bit to do this. And I'm going to add one final coat of Renaissance wax to make those details pop. Here's a close look of it all finished up. I hope you enjoyed watching. I've included a list of all of the tools that I used to make this, and if you have any questions, feel free to comment on this video.